All right. We are officially live. Welcome to Two Queens and Crystal Things. This is the podcast where we are on some manifest your life, shift your mind, and raise the consciousness type of shit. I am Christie.
And I am Mia. And you can consider us your spiritual tour guides for the next hour. So, let's get into this. Last week, we talked about the law of attraction.
Yep.
Everybody has heard of it. I'm sure many of us have were probably introduced to it when the movie The Secret came out. But just in case you haven't had a chance to listen to the podcast yet, or haven't heard of it, it's just a very simple concept that where you put the energy out in the universe is what was returned to you. So like energy attracts like. So if you desire prosperity, you don't focus on what you don't have. So instead of thinking about what you don't have and what you're lacking, show gratitude for what you do have. And what that does is shift the energy, because then it's like, oh, look how grateful I am for what I do have, and it just starts to bring it towards you. So and here's the thing about law of attraction. We said this: whether or not you believe it or not, it is always working. It is a universal law. So and it works. So we did challenge you to try yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
So what we got for them today?
So today we're going to talk about acknowledging and addressing your shadow self. And so this is another topic that I think a lot of people tend to run from, because nobody wants to do the work. Whether it's physical work, spiritual work, nobody wants to do the work, but they want the results. So what is shadow self? What is the shadow self? So Carl Jung, who is a well-known psychiatrist, he's the one who proposed the idea of having our minds split into two very different archetypes. And so the first archetype is the persona, and then the second archetype is the shadow self. And so the persona can be considered the mask that we wear and what we essentially present to the world and the person we want the world to believe we are. So it's basically what you post on Instagram or what you show people on your first date. So the persona is rooted in our conscious mind, and it represents all of the images we submit to society. So again, I think Instagram is a really great example of that, because you can be and do whatever you want on Instagram. You could pretend to be a doctor. And actually, there's a woman that I went to school with who... Anyway, that's another story. Sorry. But we learn from our parents and the world around us as far as what is good and what is evil. And so this is when our archetypes begin to develop. So you know how we talked about when you see babies and they see angels and they're looking around and they're talking, and we tell them don't do that because, that's not, there's no one there. So this is a good example of that. And so the shadow self, so again, when our parents and the world around us try to teach us what is good versus what is evil, then this is when the archetypes begin to develop. Maybe later, though. Leah's trying to get me toe up. You only have tennis. But the shadow self is what can be considered our dark and our evil side. And it is a side that can be frightening or ugly. But this is the side that we tend to keep suppressed. And so something that Mia has said often in our earlier episodes is everyone has both light and dark sides.
So I say this, and I know there's somebody right now who is triggered listening to this. Like, but I'm a great person. Like, I give half my money to to charity. I save the puppies. I fight for environmental consciousness and all of that. I just want you to know, this does not exclude you from having a shadow side.
No, it doesn't.
There are no exceptions here. The nature of being human is that we have both the light and the dark, and we need to embrace that. Hold on one second. So think of their shadow side as like it's the place where you keep all your secrets, the things that you have the ability not to share with people, right? Your repressed feelings, your primitive impulses, sexual desires that you may have. and the parts that we think honestly are just unacceptable, shameful, sinful, evil, whatever.
So can I
it's
ask
like
a
the little
question?
devil on your shoulder.
So is this like a hater? So they see you doing well out in the world, doing things, and they want to hate on you from afar, like just angry and upset.
Like, I think, so you're asking me, is our shadow self like a hater for us?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it is. I think our shadow self is more like, because we talk about being accepting the completeness and whole of yourself.
Yeah.
So some of it might be unresolved stuff from, and how it comes out, unresolved trauma. Like, it comes out,
Shadow self, you guys.
it's always, like, it's just like.
I was hating. So I admit, so not necessarily hating on myself, but hating on other people, because once I started to really dig deep in my meditation and go deeper spiritually, I realized that there were sides of myself that I did not like. Because I actually got to a point where I'm like, okay, what is it? What's wrong with me? How come I've had these 2 relationships that weren't successful? Let me figure this out. Let me figure this shit out. What is wrong with me? And I was shown some things about myself that I was not really too proud about.
I think that it plays out in people's lives in so many different ways. I think that me not addressing my shadow self put me in a position where I was attracting people who are emotionally unavailable because I needed to be able to detach.
Yeah.
So, and put in my head, I'm thinking that I'm protecting myself.
Right.
So it's a real fucked up. It's like a double-edged sword. I feel like I'm protecting myself because when the the other shoe inevitably drops, and the relationship is all messed up, I have this excuse now. Like, well, I mean, they were emotionally unattached, but you knew that from the get-go. But then the other side of me is like, oh, but if I can make this person not be emotionally unattached, I'm like super special, and it's fucking stupid. So I think part of me is like, and that's not me not dealing with my own feelings of unworthiness. So it's like, okay, I wasn't taking the time to say, why do you feel like that's the only thing that you deserve? So then I'm doing a fix it project, right? Because that's going to make me feel special. And then when you have someone who's emotionally unavailable and they're so detached and they start showing you love, you're like, oh my God,
right.
I'm special. I'm the one that cracked the code. And it's not. Nope, you're not. It's just.
No.
So, I mean, and like, I was about to say, being emotionally unstable is definitely a way that your shadow will play out. Like, if you feel if you feel powerless and unlovable, so that comes out as you being moody, dramatic, manipulative as hell. You know what I mean? So there's things. So that's the interesting thing about the shadow self. You may be acting egotistical, but that may not. So somebody be like, "Oh my God, you're so egotistical. You're so full of yourself. You're a narcissist." And people love throwing out narcissists. That's like everybody's favorite. Oh my God, have you ever dated a narcissist? Like, I can't tell you how many people say that all the time. But it's not because they're truly just have this view of themselves as above everybody. Usually there's something unresolved there, and that's just how it's playing out.
Yeah.
So if someone's acting like a narcissist, they probably feel unloved, unseen, unworthy, and they're playing the role.
Right.
Like what you were saying, what did he call it? Your persona? So like that's their persona, not necessarily who they are. So we, have to address it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's true. So how does the shadow self play out in your life? You kind of gone through that.
Well, no, I mean, I'm like, personally, it's...
Yeah, personally.
Ooh, child.
I shared that I was hating.
I recently... Myself. Mine was definitely more just being able... the detachment. Like, literally, I could... When I detached, like, I just don't give a fuck. But... I realized that was a protective layer, and it's just because of my unresolved traumas with my biological mother. It's just like again now, going through some stuff, it gets to the point where you're just like, the one person that was in you know, as your mind as a child, just supposed to love me and take care of me. It's like she wasn't able to do that, so you start feeling like, okay, well, I just need to have, you know, and have to leave that. And you know, I was very fortunate, but leaving that or being able to detach from that one, like you literally came out of this person, so there is a serious attachment there. After that, what happened is I gave myself cover. Like I will always, like, you can't do anything to, like,
Right.
I can always leave, like, you know what I mean, just so. And when you're in relationship with someone, that's not necessarily a good thing, because you know, you sometimes you gotta check your own toxicity. And so I know for a fact that I was not willing to do that, and it was just like, fuck it, I can just detach.
Yeah.
And that's not dope.
No.
Like, that ain't dope at all.
No, it's not.
What about you?
So for me, I mean, I shared that I have this hating spirit on me.
It jumped on my back, girl.
I couldn't let it loose. No, it was this hating spirit. But you know, that was many, I don't want to say many moons ago, but that was just an era of my life that I really never, like, now I don't hate on people. Whenever something wonderful happens to people, I celebrate them, I support them, because I know that if I feel like I'm in a position where I'm not, you know, my desires aren't being reached, I know that I'm next. You know, okay, you got your blessing. I'm gonna celebrate you until I can't celebrate you anymore, because I know that I'm next. So I got to a point where I was just like, you know what, Christy, you're good.
Right.
Don't stress about stuff. But initially, I mean, I was younger too. But it was like, oh, so you gonna did this? How come I didn't get it? I deserve it. And I was just like, why are you like that?
You're like, what?
Why are you like that, Christy? So I had to acknowledge it and just say, you know what, you gotta let that shit go. So.
And I mean, think about and I'll tell you something about, you know, just addressing the shadow self in yourself is difficult, especially when you don't have intentions that you're doing something to injure. It's so hard to see. You're like, no, I'm totally the victim here. I am a total sweetheart, and you're a fucked up individual, and you hurt my feelings. And then when you start doing some shadow work, you start looking back, you be like, ooh, I was totally emotionally manipulative as shit.
Right.
Like, ooh. But because we're dealing with I'll tell you recently, recently as in 3 days ago.
Some of this
this shadow, not at all. This shadow came out in parenting with me. So yes, no, seriously, because I think as a parent, I was realizing as I'm punishing my daughter for not doing what something I say like 100 times a day, and it drives me freaking crazy. And so I think that I heard myself as I'm talking to her about this, and I hear myself making it about me and not about her. Mm-hmm. And I can hear myself saying, and like I heard myself, I said something like, oh my goodness, something like, how do you think this makes me feel, or it was just like that she was being disrespectful to me. Now mind, she didn't say anything disrespectful, but right. Because she didn't do what I told her to do, I took that as a personal affront to me, and I was like, I'm like, hold on. And I heard myself say it, and something's like, that doesn't feel good. What does this have to do with, and I had to really pause and start thinking, okay, why is this so important to me? Why am I making such a big deal out of it? And it's just like, sometimes we're doing shit, it's just literally unresolved trauma from your childhood. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it comes out in how we parent our kids, because they have no control. Right. We have the complete, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I had to pause and stop myself for a minute, like, you know what, give mommy a minute.
But see, you are mature enough to do that, because there are some people that aren't able to kind of break out of that present moment, hear what they're saying, and realize, okay, we need to pause and step back, because that's not cool.
I'm putting something on you that don't even belong to you. But that's because I've done shadow work, though. Yeah. That I know for a fact that 2 years ago, that I wouldn't have been able to catch myself in the middle of it. You know what I mean? I might have came back earlier, and then I would have been feeling guilty and shameful, and then never brought it up and buried it and act like it didn't happen.
Right.
Because who wants to feel no woman wants to feel like they're a bad mommy. So I definitely wouldn't have, But go ahead.
So we talked about how the shadow self plays out in our lives. We shared our personal stories. I don't hate anymore, you guys. I don't hate. I celebrate.
I celebrate.
So as far as so what would you say are the dangers in repressing your shadow self? And you kind of spoke to this earlier.
Well, so I came up with this analogy, thinking about, we were talking about this the other day. So trying to describe, like, how do you describe this? So let's say you are, I think Christie said her favorite flowers are calla lilies. Mine are peonies because they're so cool. Okay, but anyway, that's not the point. You come out, you are a calla lily seed. You know that when you bloom, you're going to be one of the most beautiful, odious, gorgeous. You out here, just petals just don't popping, okay? Petals popping. And I say, okay, cool. Well, I need you to go into this dark hole for a little while so that you can bloom. And you're like, no, sweetheart, I'm not doing that. You're like, no, but in order for you to be fully who you are, you need to go into the darkness so that you can bloom. And you're like, nah. What if I don't like it down there? What if I see something I don't like? And
right.
What if I don't come out? And what if and so we start going through all these, and then you decide, you know what, I'm not going to do it. And so now you are a seed. You're always a seed, but now you're just someone with a whole lot of opportunity. Now you might be one of the popping seeds it is out here now, but thanks to Instagram, you can put a filter popping in seeds, like I'm out here popping. You see it, because now you're trying to make up for the fact that you were too scared to go down there and take care of your business about yourself. So sometimes, and then now I got another layer of guilt to deal with because I didn't go do it, but now I can't let people know this is how I feel guilty, so then it comes out. So now the seed is putting filters on their on their Instagram, and it looks like they're full grown calla lily.
Like they got popping petals.
Like they got popping petals, like they're about this life. Their petals is glistening. You see it. You see all the bees coming over here. It's a filter because you didn't do that work.
Right.
So now you are living your life. Like, just think about this, y'all. Living your life as a seed with the potential to be one of the most beautiful flowers, and just because you don't want to go in your own darkness, you just gonna stay a seed. You don't want to do that. Girl, go down there, and that's where all the magic happens. So it sounds bad because it is things like, you're ashamed and all those things, but that's a lot where a lot of your creativity comes from. And when you really think about, they talk about, necessity being the mother of invention. Sometimes when you look at where a lot of the inventions have come from people not having anything or going through something and like, okay, this doesn't make any sense. Why do I have to walk around like this? Maybe I can take these bike wheels and make a wheelchair. You know what I mean? Like, there's things that happen, but it's when you face it, you can't turn away from it, because then if you never face it, you never try to massage it and learn from it. And that's basically it. So, but here's the good thing. The good news is it's never too late. That seed all of a sudden does not become a seed. It always has the potential to be a beautiful calla lily. So anytime that you want to just say, you know what, okay, I'm ready to go in here because I want to be in my full bloomosity.
Yes.
Without
bloom,
the filter.
Baby.
Bloom, boo, boo. Come on. I see you blooming. I see you. I see you.
You should see her little dance.
Then it's time. So that's how I was thinking about it. So hopefully that kind of puts it out there. No, but we just some beautiful seeds out here, but until we face our full self and go in there and really do that work, we fake popping it. We fake petal popping out here.
You don't want to be a fake petal popper.
Nobody wants to be a fake petal popper.
You mean a real person. Oh, I thought your petals were popping.
You're like, wait a minute. You just a seed out here.
Faking it. So yeah, honestly, this is part of the process, doing the work. And I would say this is probably one of the hardest
Yes.
phases of, spiritual work is dealing with yourself. I've had to deal with my shadow beliefs about myself, about not being pretty enough or not being thin enough, and my body looking this way. But then when I finally got to the point where it's like, you know what, I started to embrace myself. I started to make sure that I consciously made an effort to look at myself in the mirror, to look at my body in the mirror, appreciate like the curves, the rolls, the stretch marks, whatever it is that I'm not liking. And I'm still learning, because it's not, for me, it's not 100%, but I got to a point where I'm learning to embrace my flaws. And once I started doing that, I realized there is beauty in imperfection.
Yes.
So we always look for things to be so perfect. But for me, like, why do you think some people love antique shopping? They have this characteristic. There's just something different about these used items, They have character.
And I mean, and honestly, and what is perfection though anyway?
Right.
Because at the
It
end of the
doesn't
day,
exist.
what I think might be perfect, I'm sitting there like, I want it to be just like this. And, somebody come and be like, why did you do that?
Right.
So the idea of perfection being wherever you are, like, know that there is no flaw in you. Period, point blank. Of course, we can work to make ourselves better. And actually, I remember you brought this up. We were talking about, sidebar, people getting their surgeries.
Oh yeah, I shared about that on my Instagram page.
Yes. So we were talking about people, going to go get. I learned a new term, the 360, where they get, I'm assuming it's like your boobs, stomach, back, booty, the 360.
Oh.
And they can really make the work. I mean, I saw some before and after pictures. I showed you a friend of mine sent some before and after pictures.
No comment.
Right.
One, two, three, four,
fifth. But I would tell you the after is like, like Dr. Whoever did this, put his thing down. But this is what we were talking about. This is another great way to talk about, acknowledging that. Here's the thing. That's almost like a filter you put on if you're not going to do the work. Because guess what? After you do that, you still got to do the work to maintain it.
Yes, because I know people who have gotten surgery and it looks like they have not.
So it doesn't. So the point is, you can fake all you want, and you can put something on, and you can act like it's not there. There is no exception. Everybody has a shadow side, and addressing it helps you to be fully who you are. You got to put in the work, and it's work for you.
Yeah. And I've come to love myself with all of my flaws, because that is what makes me unique. That's what makes me different. So some common shadow beliefs, because I think some people might be, they may listen to this episode and be like, oh, that's not me. That's not me. That's not me.
I mean, hey.
Which is fine.
Cool toes.
Some people don't have to do the work, but some common shadow beliefs are, I'm not good enough. We talk about, I'm not worthy, but we say, what follows behind I am is going to be true. So again, you want to attract
as you speak it.
Right. So you don't want to attract what you don't want. You want to attract what you want. So anything that follows behind I am is what you desire. So these shadow beliefs, I'm not good enough, I'm unlovable, I'm flawed, my feelings are not valid, and I must take care of everyone around me, or why can't I just be normal just like others? Oh, I've had that thought too. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, and think about it, especially with everything that's going around with COVID, and there's a lot of distrust of our established systems. So
I distrust
everything. Look, I'm like, I distrust. So there's there's a lot of uncertainty about what's happening in life now. So people have those can come out as people being like either superficial.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When there's distrust or inconsistent.
Oh my goodness. You want to get on my nerves. You want to get on my nerves. Be inconsistent.
Slick little people, and like we're talking about, like, okay, perfect. Racism is big.
Yes.
Big. Okay. Sexist, homophobia, all this. A lot of the root cause of that is stuff that people haven't addressed in their shadow is fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, and fear that whatever, something that you don't understand, that you won't fit in it. So you try to bat it down.
Yeah.
That has so much to do with sexism and racism and, what do you call, and then there's this unnatural fear of chaos, but it's because you haven't known how to or seen how to bring order to chaos. So if there's a perception that this something new that I don't understand is chaos, then I have to kill it because I don't know how to transmute chaos. You know what I mean? That's because you haven't gone deep into yourself and dealt with your own inner chaos. You just pushed it to the side. Right. So anybody who you perceive as expressing their chaos out to the open, you're like, oh, how dare you do this with my beautiful, pristine eyes? Ah!
I wish you guys could see this.
I'm just saying. But that's, so that's what so the point is, everybody has a shadow self, and it just shows itself in different ways.
It does.
I'm sorry.
So talking about embracing the shadow self, when we say embrace it, we're not saying go ahead and indulge in it. So if you see someone that got on your nerves and you want to trip them, we're not saying to go after that person and go trip them.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you for bringing this up. Okay. Let's talk about that. This is not a calling card to be like, They said to embrace my shadow self, and you didn't piss me off, so I'm about to smack you upside your head. That's not what we are saying. Acknowledge it.
Yeah, acknowledge it. Like, ooh.
So the difference is it. And if you're really acknowledging your shadow self, you're not going to do anything to anybody else, because if you're really working on your shadow self, you know that has nothing to do with that person. Yes, they probably ticked you off, and the fact that you want them to slap, the fact that you want, knock their head off their shoulders. Not that I've ever felt that I wanted to smash anybody's head to pieces, never in life. Never. But if I did. But you have to start to think to yourself, why is that my response? Why when I'm angry do I feel like I want to physically harm somebody? So okay, let's rewind this back. Foop, 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 foop. How, what? Oh, okay, yes. How does that, what was I taught or shown, or what trauma or what have I experienced in my life that shows me that's how you deal with anger, right?
Yeah.
So again, that's that going deeper into your own self and saying, why would I do that? We're not saying, when we say embrace it, it's just know that it exists, and look at parts of your life that you're not trying to deal with, and just and honestly, and I think some of the work today, let me pull that up too. We're going to talk about, working on your shadow self, because it's just, it's balance. There's a balance that exists within us. Yeah. Ignoring it, like if we're going around telling people, everything is love and light, and you only walk in love and light. And when you see something dark, you run away. But this is the truth. Sometimes you have to get down to the deepest, darkest place for you to even be able to see the light. Because it'll just be that one little crevice of light come in, but you can't. But sometimes you can't see how valuable it is until you've gone down deeper. You're like, oh, look at this little piece of light just shining through. And if you think about it, back to that seed analogy, when you're in the ground, that one little piece of crevice of sun that goes down and hits it, connected with that water, that's where it starts to grow. But sometimes you can't see it until you're out of it.
Right. Isn't that good?
I mean, it's the truth. And it's not fun.
No, it's not fun.
We're not going to sit up here and lie to you and be like, and I know that some people are worried about losing themselves in their shadow self. If we stop looking, we have to normalize the idea that there is darkness in me. Like it is what it is.
Some people are like, I'm not racist. I don't think that way about black people. I have a black friend.
Yes. Same thing. Ooh, perfect. Same thing. Don't be like that, y'all. Don't be like that on yourself. On yourself.
We all have a little bit of it. But I will say one thing is that once you start doing the shadow work on yourself, you are able to give other people grace because you realize that they have work to do. So you don't want to just haul off and beat somebody once you're doing the work. Because you realize you're like, okay, you're coming from someplace else. You're coming from a place where you have not yet done the work, and I get that. So I'm gonna say my piece and go. But
I think, and a lot. I mean, that's so true. I'm so much more compassionate about So
I mean, sometimes
it's
I'll
okay.
Pause. I'll still pause.
This does not mean that I don't get pissed off if I feel like somebody's done something bogus to me. But I'm so much better at managing my emotions about it, or managing how I respond to it. And also, sometimes I can see it. I'm like, okay, I know this has absolutely nothing to do with this. So, and I don't have to say, I know you going through something, like, you know what, because that's not my journey. You gotta let them have it. But I'm definitely so much more like, okay, okay. You just and it's so much easier for you to accept people for who they are once you start accepting yourself for who you are. And that's the thing right there.
But it all starts with you, and this is what we've been talking about.
And it always starts with you.
It all starts with you.
And honestly accepting your shadow self and kind of working through that, it allows you to take responsibility for yourself. Again, we talk about holding ourselves accountable. So once you truly acknowledge some of these dark traits instead of avoiding them, then suddenly they now don't have control over you.
Yeah.
So if you try to ignore it, that's actually you're giving that power over you, because now you got to move in certain ways to avoid it, and it's not there when it comes up. Now that is it's taking power over how you move, how you think, when you just accept it, and it's like, okay, I see you, come here, let's talk. What's the problem? Now you're in the power seat, not something that you're trying to avoid about yourself, if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. And as you were speaking, I was just seeing, how we'll sweep things under the rug. And it's just like, okay, we'll do this for later. Or, I'll get to it later. But it's like, no, you got to get underneath all of that. You got to get that dirt, that dust out.
Yes.
Shake it out.
Sweeping stuff under the rug. Let me tell y'all. Okay. I was definitely masterful at swallowing a lot of stuff, just taking it, sweeping it on the rug, nope, forget. Oh yes, I sure was. Chat. I mean, I'm talking about sit with it. But this was the problem. I'm gonna tell you, because I don't like being in pain. I don't like my feelings being hurt. It is it hurts for real, especially when you're experiencing for some people that you love. It hurts when somebody. So I would try to avoid it. So I would ignore stuff. But I always knew I was always afraid of the moment when I was gonna pop, because it's so not it's not
pretty.
It's not.
She turns into Hawkeisha.
Okay, I mean, it is I don't, and then I've never felt good after because it's not freaking fair, because it's okay, I basically trained somebody. If I'm with somebody and I've just been taking all the little stuff. So now I've trained you that you think that that's okay. Right. So then all of a sudden when I finally hit my last, and it could be something stupid, and now I have cleared, blown up the whole block. And then you sit there looking at me like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, what's wrong with me? But now they're getting the full wrath of something, one, that they don't own, two, that they probably didn't deserve, and three, what I'm mad at them for. I've been showing them and accepting the behavior, and now I'm mad about it. That's me holding myself accountable. Now, if I see it, I don't like it, I ain't doing it, period. Point blank. Yeah.
I mean, I was saying that to my friend earlier today as we were bike riding. I was like, you just get to a point, and maybe it's age, I don't know what it is, but
wisdom. It's not age, it's wisdom.
Well, I have zero fucks.
Oh, and it's such a beautiful place.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, I checked my bank account. Sorry, I don't have any to give.
I didn't. Oops, let me look. I mean, I really tried for you. I just don't have it.
Yeah, I just don't.
Because you just don't want.
And that is okay.
No, and it is okay, because you want to feel let me get this out the way. You want to, and it's not like I don't care about anybody, or it's not that type of thing. It's just that I feel very comfortable with who I am as a person and what I am, and I'm not going to accept in my life and not feel guilty about it, and not feel like, but maybe should I? It's like, no, I'm cool.
No is a complete sentence.
No is a complete. I just said this to my friend to one of my good friends, I think yesterday. I just said, you got to learn this new concept. It's I don't know, like it's this new thing out here. The kids are telling me about it. It's called nope. I ain't gonna be able to do it.
So, what would you say are some safe ways to begin to face your shadow self? So we've already talking about you have to acknowledge them first.
Mm-hmm.
I think acknowledging is the first step to everything, even if you're in AA, whatever. But
They got that comes from someplace.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
First.
I'm trying to think. So I know that we have some ways, but I will say this. I think that once you acknowledge it, and y'all know what I'm going to say. I hate to continue to say this,
You already know what you're
journaling, and talk, and because it's almost like it's a safe space for you to have a conversation with yourself, and you might feel a little cuckoo because it's literally a debate with yourself that you can have, kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
And being honest, like, okay, I'm angry at this person. I'm angry at this situation. It's like, okay, my reaction is this. Why do I do this to people? Why do I cut people off? Why do I have this sense of attachment? Why do I feel like I need to control everything? Like, it comes out in so many different ways. And here's the thing.
Is that to me?
No.
Why do I feel like I have to control everything?
No. See, you see her shadow self jumped out. She got real paranoid. Wasn't even talking about. You're like, what? No. Oftentimes our shadow selves comes out in ways, and our friends would tell us about it, and we don't. So if somebody is always saying, "Man, why are you so bossy? Why are you always so control?" You know what I mean? Somebody says that to you, and we're just like, first of all, no, I'm not. You know what you're talking about, but those are ways, especially if it's consistent with people who know you. They might be telling you a little something like, "Dang, bro,
if 10 out of 10
friends
said
you know what I mean?" And even looking at, and I'll say one way to start doing it is to looking at your pattern of relationships. Let me tell you something. For real. For real. And I am speaking from experience.
I got a jab on the right and the left.
You guys, if you keep attracting the same type of person into your life, let me just say this. All people are not the same. It's 7 billion people out here. Let me tell you something. All people are not the same. That is so much back to the law of attraction. And that is what you are putting out there into the world. So the real question is, okay, it's not okay, I need to stop putting that out there into the world. But the real question is, what about me is that's the energy that I am. Where do I feel some lack in some place, and I feel something where I feel like that's the only thing that I deserve, and the universe will answer, and they say, oh, okay, here's fuckboy number 7 for you. But I mean, here's the narcissist. Why am I always with the narcissist, or why am I always with someone who wants to control me? Right. Like, I know a lot of women. It seems like they have this thing where the person that they're always with, it's like, feels like they own them. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, men then they get this mindset that all men want to do is control you or own you. Nope. That's just all the people that you've been with and you've attracted. But why do you feel that way? Because you don't feel like you have a sense of self, or you feel like I define myself.
Is what you have to focus on.
Yep, I define myself by what somebody else thinks about me. So when you come to somebody as a blank slate, and they're like, okay, well, so what I say, it goes. I'm just gonna pour into you. Well, this is what you are, and then now you running around in circles trying to be something else. But why would you think that that's okay for your life? That's when you start talking about your shadow self. It's acknowledging the stupidity, and then be like, wait a minute, hold on. But But why do I think that's okay?
I went through that in my first marriage. I went
That
through
part, yeah.
I went through that. Like, why is this okay to accept? And, you know, I'll talk to people about it. I mean, when I talk to people about it now, and I don't just open and willy-nilly talk about it, I am open with it, but the details, I'm not as open. But when I start talking about it, I'm like, oh, this is like a soap opera. It doesn't even feel like my life. And I'm thinking, why did I allow myself to accept that? Why did I feel like I was only worthy of that? Why did I feel like that is the only thing that I was capable of getting? And so that is the work that I had to do, and it's not nice. It is not nice.
And I will caution you. This is where that's why I think is being, you know, having people to talk to, having a circle, and having a safe space. Let me tell you why I want to caution people when they get to this point. You will start to beat up on yourself when you start acknowledging. Sometimes it's so easy. So when you start, especially, you know, because I'm again speaking from experience, I know for a fact that when I was going through, like, Mia, why is that okay to you? Why do you think that that's only what you deserve? It's like I start beating up on myself, like what kind of stupid shit is you on? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going through that in my head, but you have to stop and don't judge it. Like, it's neither good nor bad. At the end of the day, most people are doing the best that they can with where they are, with the knowledge that they have, with the experiences that they have. And sometimes in order to stretch you to that next level so you don't do those type of things again, you're going to get that lesson. Yeah. So if we have to stop judging it as good or bad, or I'm stupid, or why did I do that? Look back at it, and if somebody brings it up and you're like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Like, we have to stop that, doing that to ourselves, because then, and that's why people don't want to do the shadow work, because it's like, I feel like a terrible person. Now I want to freaking jump out the window, and all I was trying to do was work on myself. So
you have to
be
gentle.
Pause, right?
Have to be gentle with
compassion
yourself.
For you first.
You have to give yourself some grace, because if you think, you know, I will be 45, so it has taken me 45 years to get to this point. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, but as you move through, and as you go through the pain, and as you peel back the layers, at the end it'll be worth it. So just go through it. But just like Mia said, as far as journaling, some people like to draw, some people like to dance. The other night, which is so funny, I just had this desire to dance. There was a song that was on, so I was in here dancing.
Really, like dancing, like, you know,
dancing.
Your technique dancing.
I was dancing.
Really?
I was.
Oh, you should record it.
But painting is also a good way. Some people like to express in different ways. It can be in movement. It can be in writing. Meditating is also a great way of. And for me, what that was useful for me. I'm telling you, meditating has helped me so much. But for me, it was useful because I envisioned these different layers of myself being peeled back, and with each layer that I was peeling back, I was having to tackle something else. And so that is what helped me. And Mia talks about this too. You got to feel the feels, like embrace the feelings. It is okay to cry. It is okay to feel how you are feeling. We are human. We have these emotions for a reason. And you said emotions is what? Something emotion, energy, emotion?
Energy, emotion,
Energy in motion. And then also dreams. You know, sometimes in our subconscious mind, we will start dealing with ourselves and areas of ourselves in our dreams. So that's where journaling is helpful.
So today, the temple work. You want to get into temple work?
What is temple work?
What is it, or what is it going to be?
What is it going to be?
Oh, look, I'm like, are you asking me what is temple work?
Maybe we should say what temple work is. So each time.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Good point.
You know, if you are a new listener, why not just do the introduction?
You're
again.
right.
So what is temple work? So each time we air, we're going to assign our listeners a homework assignment. And so this is all spiritual work, it's a spiritual arena. And so instead of thinking of homework, we want to think about, you know, your spirit, your body, your temple work. And so this can go from, it can be buying a journal. It can be, in one episode we asked our listeners to buy a journal. Another episode we asked our listeners to undress and look at themselves and really focus on the things that they love about themselves. Mm-hmm. And there are different ways that we will give out temple work. So for this week's temple work, what is it?
when we're talking about the shadow self, embracing it, addressing it, and just start doing the work. And all of this ladders up to self-love, taking care of yourself and all of that. So there's two things. So in your journals or on a sheet of paper, whatever way you want to do this.
Don't let her bully you. But no, you guys should have that journal. It's
for those who want to partake, I want, because we're having this conversation because we do want people to kind of start addressing your shadow self. And I know that this is going to be difficult and it's going to take, so I want to give you something to look at when you're in the middle of your temple work and you start thinking, oh my God, why am I such an effed up person? This is something to get you back to like, no, you're not. Mm-hmm. So I want you to describe 5 things that you love about yourself and you feel gratitude about. So it could be, I don't care whatever's going on in my life. I love, that I don't have cankles.
Ooh, or MIPS.
MIPS. No. It can be.
I don't have MIPS. I'm grateful I'm a man that does not have hips. MIPS. You said cankles.
What? No. First of all, this is my moment of gratitude. See, you trying to make this. Look.
I'm grateful I don't have a big lip nose.
Wait. First of all, before I was interrupted, what I'm trying to say is, it can be something as minute as that. This is for yourself. Because honestly, for real, everybody has something. You just like, look, I don't care how big like how much weight I've gained or what, but sometimes I just look down, I'm like, at least I don't have cankles. I mean, something there, it could be something that small. You could be grateful for, like, I love how ambitious I am. I love, like, honestly, it can be something very small, but just 5 things that you love about yourself and that you feel gratitude about. And also that you don't mind being able, like, if someone asked you, hey, what are 5 things you love about yourself, that you like, actually, since you asked, I'm kind of a double entrepreneur out here in these streets, and I love that about myself. It's just like, I love my lips. You know what I mean? It could be anything, guys. I mean, seriously. I wasn't saying that I was saying, like, I'm glad I don't have cankles. I'm just saying.
I'm so grateful. My angels, spirit guides, and other beings. I would just like to show and express gratitude for not having cankles. Thank you.
And so it is.
I am cankless.
I am cankle free.
I am cankle free.
Sure. Sometimes you gotta be grateful. Like, look.
I'm grateful I don't have a unibrow.
See? Thank you. Now I'm the bad person. I tell you. So, and the reason I want you to have this is like, and do as many as you want, but we want to minimally have 5 is because as you're going through this shadow work, you sometimes you might need something to pull yourself back and remind you, like, I'm doing this for a reason. I'm doing this for a purpose. I want my petals out here popping. Right now I'm a seed, and this is just me going underground to get this work done. Yeah. And I'll tell you something else. What's so dope, you guys, is once you really start getting to this, you'll like enjoy spending time with yourself. Now you're like, oh, because once you learn something, you see how, like, oh my goodness, my perspective has changed now that I've healed from that novel. And you're just like, oh, this is dope. You're gonna start looking for, like, oh, well, shoot, what else we got up in there? Let's get this out, because it feels so good and it has such a difference in the way that you live and see life. I think. All right.
Do the work. Do the work.
Do the work, do the work, do the work, do the work.
See, this is why video is a must. We'll talk about that.
Yes. We're going to do, because clearly.
Today's featured Crystal. Ba-da-ba!
Ooh, and she's pretty too. You got to take a picture of that.
It's malachite, and I'm holding it now, and the energy is So nice. So malachite is a copper carbonate mineral with a Mohs hardness of 3.5 to 4. For those of you who love this science stuff, I think it's important to share. But malachite, it has, oh my goodness, the green is so nice.
That green's one of my favorite colors.
It's
I
like
love
a
that
mix between a
stone.
forest green and then...
Is that new?
I've had it maybe.
I need a good one.
But and it has like this light green, and then it has bands. It's just it's so nice. So it has fibrous bands between light and dark shades of green, and this crystal was actually known in Egypt as early as 3000 BC, and had various uses spanning from making jewelry to a powdered form of eyeshadow, which I was very surprised to learn, but I can see why.
Yeah.
So, but spiritually, malachite it's not only a great stone for your heart chakra, because of course, anything pink or green, I'm skiwi. It's good for your heart.
We hear her.
But it's also a great stone for protection from negativity. And it also helps to usher in change from within ourselves, making us more open to new experiences, receptive to new ideas, and welcoming of new people in our lives. And it also is for those who have been stuck walking down memory lane, thinking about their what ifs and regrets. Malachite is perfect to have on hand. And it also helps us to realize what is needed for our highest good, and it helps us recognize the cracks in the walls that can block our progress. We've been talking about dealing with shadow work. So one can utilize one's will to break through limitations, barriers, and apathy. And on an emotional level, malachite can help to burn through the fog of emotional confusion that can prevent one from making conscious decisions. And that's another reason why I chose it for shadow work. And you guys know how I meditate. Left hand, which is the receiving hand. Right hand is the giving hand. Receiving hand energy comes in. Giving hand energy comes out. So that's a great way to meditate with it. Or if you want to lay down, you can put it on your heart chakra. Mia, have you worked with the malachite before?
I love the malachite. I was trying to remember what what it was. It's the stone of transformation. That's the one. I was like, what is it they have in there? So I think this is a perfect stone that you picked for this, because when, again, we're talking about the shadow work is, it's part of your transformation process. And there are often times where you're going through that rebirth, and I think this is an excellent stone for kind of helping you through that. The energy off of this is freaking awesome. And also, the other thing I like about this stone, to me, when I've meditated with it, it's reminded me of wisdom learned. So sometimes, we go through life, we get this information. Sometimes we forget what we know, and whenever I've felt like I'm, especially in the middle of a transformation, going through an awakening, or an ascension, if you will, doing a little upgrade, so you feel stuck in like, okay, and this one has been, I really like this one. I want a big piece like this, but I have some pieces, but I really like the malachite, and it's beautiful. Oh, and it makes, and since green is one of my favorite colors, it makes dope jewelry pieces too.
And it's like it said, it's a vivid green, so it's a really bright. Like, it's just not your regular green. It's like a green.
And I will say, it took me a while to be attracted to malachites, because when I first started getting into crystals, I like the the shiny ones, and this is like a rich, opaque.
Rich.
You know what I mean?
It's
so
rich.
it's not so like I think when people like it's green, like emerald green, but that's more, what is the proper word for it? Like translucent a little bit, as opposed to being opaque. Is that what you call it?
The emerald that I have upstairs, it's raw. So
the raw ones. Yeah. But it's a very rich, like, and to me, it's like it helps to unlock some of the wisdom that you already have. Yeah.
And then something that I will say is that there are dictionaries of what each crystalline stone means.
Yes.
But it will be different for everyone. So, Mia may meditate with the stone for a week, and she may receive certain downloads from it, or purpose, what that purpose is for her. And then I may meditate it with the same crystal or stone for a week and have something different. So just realize it's whatever. I mean, ultimately, this walk it's all about you.
All about you.
Yeah, and what works for you. So I also just wanted to put that out there too, because I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, well, I meditated with a month and my emotional fog is still there.
But I think, you know what, though, maybe that's one of the things that we can talk about, just in terms of which charging your crystals and, you know, for yourself and your intentions. Video.
Bam. Bam.
Okay.
Now we're going to move into the divination.
So we pulled cards today for you guys. I did 3 from this. What'd you say?
I said, got lots of cards.
Yeah, I did. I pulled. Oh, let me not. Those fell out. So afterwards, gotta look that up. So I pulled 3 cards for this, and it was. I love this because the 3 were failure, clarity, and then child's innocence. And I think it's so representative of what we're talking about when it comes to addressing. So if you're looking at, when you're talking about addressing your shadow self, a lot of people look at that downside of them as their failures, you know. And so we're being asked to face your failures is so important, especially at this times. So sometimes, you know, relationships, business endeavors, they're in before they reach their full potential. And so some of that stuff we'll also kind of put in the shadow and say, I'm not doing this again. Okay. I'm not going to, you know, go through this again, or, you know, because we want to repress those feelings. But there's lessons in those failures, right? And then clarity. So again, it's perfect. After the failure, understanding and seeing lessons, you have so much clarity after this. So see the past, like seeing past what's right in front of you, because now you're tapping into your wisdom. So now you get to move forward with it, you know. So move forward in your purpose, but with a lot of clarity. And now you're changing your perspective. You're seeing life differently. And so now when you think about who sees the world as it could be, children. So pulling that child innocence, I was like, okay, it's perfect too, because it's getting back to seeing the world through those fresh eyes, where you're seeing the world of what could happen and what it could be, as opposed to all the failures and fears. So as adults, sometimes when we look, think about it, a child opens the door, looks outside, and just like freedom, and they want to go run out, and just because that's how they see the world. We see, oh my goodness, there's people walking down the street, there's bugs, do you have your off for this, you know what I mean? Right. So, but and of course we still have to, you know, be careful and safe, but the point is that recognizing and acknowledging your failures, we're being asked to do that during this time, okay? Because now you have a clearer vision of who you are and understanding, like, damn, I got some dope wisdom in me. And then because you have that wisdom, it's okay for you to be able to look at the world through some fresh eyes and fresh perspective, and looking at it, man, I can make this world whatever I want it to be. And that's how children look at the world before we start messing them up. So, Christy, that's what I had for the group.
That was amazing. I thought she still had more, because she was over here preaching. I was like, So that is episode 8.
Wait, you pulled a card for the group.
Oh, I did. I mean, this was more for us.
Yeah.
This was for us, but I can actually pull a card.
Yes.
I got this new deck.
It's pretty.
And it is, oh, I love it because it's so simple.
The cards are dope.
It's simple. It's black with rose gold.
Rose gold.
It's so pretty.
I love rose gold.
Right. I'm going to pull one card. So what do you all need to know for today?
Christy, we have tennis
What do you
in 50 minutes.
Today? I know. All right, so what you guys need to know for today. Ooh, take risk.
Oh, I love it.
And so we have a goat on there. We have, not sure if that's the moon. I actually pulled this card the other day, so I'm a little familiar with it. That's 58. And it's a fire card. So these cards are broken up into, or
in Leo season, makes sense. Fire.
So risks are personal to each one of us. To some, climbing a mountain doesn't feel risky. To others, having a conversation with a stranger does. What has been calling you that you have been afraid to do? Comfort kills growth. I need to say that again. Comfort kills growth.
Interesting.
So it's important that we regularly do things that push the envelope. Let's get uncomfortable, people. That make us feel nervous, apprehensive, and uneasy, with the exception of physical danger, you guys. But this particular card, it's asking you to take the plunge and do that thing that intimidates you. So trust that the net will appear after you jump. So there are 3 things on this card. One is the mountain goat. And basically the mountain goat can jump 12 feet between ledges. It can scale steep mountainsides over 60-degree slopes. There's also stinging nettle on here. So there's an animal figure, a plant figure, and then a crystal figure on here. Stinging nettle is a plant. It's with an abundance of medicine, and it's one of those things that can sting you, but once you learn how to work with it, it has healing benefits of it. And then last is the fire agate. And the fire agate helps us restore our lust for life. And so those are the 3 things for the card. Take risks, get out of your comfort zone. And with that, I would like to close and want to say thank you to everybody. Just a huge thank you. Again, thank you times infinity to the exponent of infinity.
I'm just grateful that we are able.
Have cankles?
I can't stand you. I'm grateful that we're able to share, what we've learned, what we experiencing, for other people to grow and learn from it too.
Yep.
Again, we always say, is there something that you want us to talk about, you want us to address, something you want us to clear up? Please email us at info@twoqueensandcrystalthings.com. Yeah. And let us know what you'd like to talk about. And I want to make sure you follow us, please, on IG at 2queenscrystalthings.
Yep.
2 Things Crystal Things. On Instagram. You can follow Christie at Christie R. Edwards. That's Christie with an I-E. And Edwards, plural, at Christie Edwards. She is also a crystal healing master. Move that energy around, got you feeling real good and right.
Yeah, shout out to those who have been listening to the episode who booked a session with me. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
And then Mia's Instagram page is Wings Unleashed 444. Get those angel numbers. Wings, WINGS, Unleashed 4444. And then she too has a business. She does spiritual coaching.
Yeah.
And she does Akashic record readings. She is
channeling,
the bomb. And she channels. She does a whole bunch of.
We just out here. Look, we just trying to love on people.
She is like that tool knife that has everything. She's like a Swiss knife, but spiritual Swiss. She is the spiritual
Swiss knife. Get out. I'm done.
There we go. So until next time, beautiful people, light, peace, love, and
soul.